Hey, how's it going? I'm Nate, and this is Dusty Trail. On Dusty Trail, we're going to talk about various camping, hiking, and just getting out and seeing nature things. And we're going to start with basically modifications to my Intech Pursue trailer. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to mount this Inergy Apex. Now, why I went with the Inergy Apex is because of its size. It's lightweight, only 25 pounds, and it's not very big, 14 inches wide. It's 8 inches tall and 7 inches in depth. And that's really important because when you see the space that I'm planning on installing it inside of the Intech, there's just not a lot of room available. And this battery is going to fit that space better than other batteries that are on the market. Plus the price, not terrible, not at all. Very competitive with other brands, better priced in a way than some of your larger brands that are out there. Now, in order to install it, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to change the way that shore power hooks up to the trailer. Right now, you take a female end cable and plug it into a male end port on the outside of the trailer that is directly wired up to a controller, to the power controller. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to break that connection. We're going to wire in some 300 volt, 10 gauge rubber insulated wire that is going to go directly to its own plug. And this plug will have the ability to either plug into the Inergy, or I'll wire in another outlet that will wire to the original shore power plug. So that's how we're going to do it. But before we get started, we got to get the old battery out of the way. So I've already started to remove the battery a little bit. What you see here is this is the plastic box that comes with the Intech Pursue. This metal that you see right here, that's the back side to our fridge. There's a little slide out on the other side, and this is all the space that I'm dealing with here. This is it right there's the power controller. This is the main shore power that's coming in. It goes up and around, down to the shore power input right here, this guy right here. If we come out and around the trailer, you'll see that's what I was talking about. Just a standard shore power input. And it's really nice when a trailer this size has this kind of power, because of the fact that you don't necessarily want to put a big cable in here and then have to leave a door open when you go to shore power. A lot of times the bigger rigs will have that where the shore power cable is wired straight into it, but not these smaller trailers, and that's a good thing. This box has a vent because it's a lead acid battery. You have to vent them. That vent goes right here. I have a plan for this vent. I'm gonna leave it alone for now, but there were 4 screws. I popped those off. The top will come off just like this. I've already loosened up the negative. Always loosen negatives on batteries first. Take the negative off, make it so that there's no positive to negative, and then you've completely isolated the trailer. It has no power on it whatsoever, so it's going to make doing the wiring on this incredibly easy. But we're going to get started. I'll put this back on a tripod so you don't have to deal with Blair Witch shaky crap, and we'll get this battery out of here. We'll get this tub out of here. There is another vent underneath. Kind of see it right there. That hole is going to be used later, I hope, for a different install on something else. That will help my wife and I stay warm during nice cold winter camping trips. Which in sunny California, you wouldn't think. Like 2 days ago, in November, it was 90. Thanks Santa Ana for nothing. But you can go up to like Big Bear and actually see snow around here. It's kind of crazy. So we're gonna get this going. All right. To get this battery out of here, you really only need a crescent wrench screwdriver. You could probably find the actual size for these posts, but I'm lazy and they're not on there all that tight, nor should they be. Tops off, no problem. Comes out, just got a little hole there for this. That guy's actually stuck on there. I think this is all part of part of that vent, but you know, I'll get to that and I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that here in a bit. The important part is this right here. As long as you don't touch the positive and negative side with something that'll bridge that gap, you're fine. There's the screw. We'll pop the positive battery connection, and then this cable right here, the smaller cable right here with the fuse, that's actually from the solar charger. We're going to use that for the Energy, because the Energy can be charged solar, obviously. A lot of times those generators are called solar generators, battery generators. There's a bunch of different ones. So just carefully take the cable out of there, and then this battery's heavy. Lead acid batteries are very heavy. And out it comes. Not too shabby. One of the things that I'm looking in here knowing right now that I'm going to need to go grab is there's a screwdriver. I'm going to move the camera, all clumsy like I'm sure. You've got Phillips head screwdrivers that are holding this down, and you've got two screws that are holding that bottom. You know, it's probably because these batteries are lead acid style, and you have to pop these caps off and fill these batteries every once in a while. Maintenance has to happen with them, and I'm not bad with maintenance, but why do maintenance if you don't have to? And the energy battery that's in this is self-contained. You don't have to do any maintenance. It doesn't have to be vented. It's just a way better battery, and the fact that it will easily provide as much power as that Interstate or more, and it's only 25 pounds. Yeah, so this is a no-brainer, folks. The other thing that it's going to do for me is this right here. Everything like this side over, that's all a pure sine wave inverter built into the box. If not, you have to wire all that in yourself. That's kind of hard to do. Plus, it tells you what's going on with it. You know, like it tells you. And that 95%, 96%, by the way, that's because I have it right now set to just the DC ports. If I go over and I turn on the inverter, it's going to show me a little bit less. Probably in a moment when it gets the inverter going. But even if it doesn't, which I'm kind of surprised it doesn't, just a testament to how cool it is. This is after we boiled some water in a 700 watt water kettle. So I this 100% like 3 days ago, boiled water, and I'm at 95, 96, wherever it wants to be, hovering in between. Now, one of the reasons why we said we were going to use the solar, this is my one complaint, and it's not even really a complaint on Intech. It's a complaint that this is an EC8 port, and I've got EC8 plugs that I'm gonna have to solder into the trailer, and I tried to like kind of put one together. You can only buy them in like 5-packs. They're not very expensive at all, but they are really hard to put together. You know, if they'd have gone with on the outside of my trailer, there's this ZAMP plug right here. It's just a standard SAE port or whatever, and like ZAMP thinks that they like do something funny when they reverse the polarity of this thing, so that way this guy right here, the bottom guy is your positive and the top guy is your negative, so that, or other way around, sorry, this guy's your positive, and the reason being is that way this is protected, the positive is protected with a shield, and the negative is just the prong that sticks out. Whatever, ZAMP. You're charging too much money for your products. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. They're not bad products by any stretch of the imagination. They're just really expensive, and they're not as proprietary as you'd think. But that is kind of a plus for ZAMP, because as long as you understand that ZAMP is trying to do this backwards thing, which is good for safety, then you know you can adapt whatever you want to them. So in a way, you know, not that terrible. All right, I'm not going to pay for your briefcase panels at $400 for like 100 watts. Sorry. But anyway, so this is the one thing. The reason they do this though is that like these EC8 cables are capable of a lot of power, a lot more than your standard cables, your standard connections. So you know, so we'll get that together. I'll figure it out. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. But anyway, so that's a little bit more on why this is going in this trailer. This will fit in here really nicely, and like I said, I have a plan for something else here that's going to sit at about 5 to 6 inches high. Anyway, I'm actually going to be building a box in here to surround that item, and when I get that item in, I'll be filming that install. It's going to be a pretty intense install. I'll be cutting holes in the floor, and we're going to have to figure out, you know, this guy right here, and everything. But then the goal is the energy is going to sit like right up here, and it should be able to nicely, even with all those plugs up there. So let's get the box out of here, and let's start working on the wiring situation, because now the real fun begins. So for those who are working on mastering the art of being lazy, electric screwdrivers are the best, especially for tight jobs like this. Like no effort at all. Comes right on out. These are self-tapping screws, kind of interesting. They're actually really handy to have, and these are in really good shape. So probably clean them up, keep them around. Check the ends. You probably can't see it on the camera, but if these things get marred at all, just throw them away. They're not that expensive, and you don't want to be messing with a screw that you put in wrong and need to take out, and now the end's screwed. Pun intended, I guess. But these are in good shape. They're nice and long. They're self-tapping. Handy to have. I may also, if somebody on one of the Intech websites needs this box for whatever reason, or wants this box for whatever reason, I'll probably just give it to them, and they can have the screws too. So like this one, the end might be screwed up because there's like plastic peg. Yeah, if you can see that, it's kind of rounded a little bit. Just throw it away. It's not worth it. There's two more that I gotta get that go through the hole to hold the bottom ventilation on. So I'm gonna disappear. Huh. Well, those two are below the flooring, but above the subflooring. So getting them out could be... Oh, never mind. So the way this is gonna work, folks, is I'm gonna have to give this a nice big tug, because what they did, I'll see if I can show you, is they put that in there like that. Now that's only screwing this this black this stuff on. But what it's doing, let's see if I can, I'm gonna pop you out of the, cool, kinda. Alright, bad camera work, but whatever. So if you can look underneath here, once she figures out how to focus again. Oh, come on. For crying out loud. There we go. See? It's screwed in just to the tub. But what they did, they put a bunch of gunk around it. So I'm gonna work on getting that gunk out and see if I can't get it out. Okay, what I ended up doing was I just ended up pushing it through on the bottom while pulling it up top. Kind of muscled it through. It broke a little bit on this side, so it kind of separated from the tank. But again, I'm not using it. I don't need to use it. I don't need to vent anymore. So you can see just how thick the floor is. It's kind of nice. And then you can see this weird like rubber insulation or plastic stuff that they put around it. Now, you can't leave this like this. So no matter what I do, I cannot leave this like this, because that wood will rot, and moisture will get caught in there. So my plan, I'm gonna end up cutting more of a hole than what exists anyway. But when I get done doing that and I cut all this out here to mount the next big upgrade, then what will occur is I will have to get some of the goop that I was talking about, some of this plastic, putty stuff, to seal it, and I'll put it around the outside. I doubt I'll put it around the inside. I'm not quite sure why. I guess for the battery purposes, they didn't want any of the battery acid accidentally getting in to the wood if it had leaked out. But for me, I'm not going to need to do anything more than just the outside for the next item that's going to sit in this lower area. But the first item that's going to sit in this lower area is going to be the Intech, and it in California can sit with that hole open. I'm not too concerned about water coming in. It hasn't rained here since June, and even if it did rain, it's not going to rain up on the bottom, and this trailer is not going to move until after I get the rest of this install done. So at this point we are ready to cut our wire here and start working on the install of our new socket that is going to go in here, our new plug. That'll probably be up here somewhere. I'll probably install it up here on the wall, and then we're going to remove this right here. Oops, that right there, because that's your shore power. That's your shore power right there. And then we're also going to figure out, so this is your battery. This is a battery fuse. You can turn off the battery. I'm probably just going to remove all that, because it's a way for you to isolate a battery. I'm no longer setting up to do any of that stuff. Like, I'm never going to use this thing. I'm not even charging my battery through the normal means. I'm charging it through solar, and solar is going to come down through here. And unless they've merged the solar, and I'm not quite sure yet, I still have to go through and trace all my cables. Unless they merge the solar, and this is the solar, by the way, this black cable and this red cable, and maybe they did, to be honest with you, and maybe I will leave this switch so that way I can leave it in the off position and then turn it on after all the solar's hooked up. We'll see. It doesn't look like it though. No, to be honest with you, it looks like this cable, the white and red down here, the one that's going straight through it. That looks like it's my solar, just because of the fact that it's got a fuse right here, and there's literally no reason to put like a fuse in this line if it's coming from the controller, because the controller is fused. There's a 30 amp fuse in there and a couple of 15 amp fuses. So, well, I'll figure it out. I'll let you know. So this is what the Intech's controller looks like. What you see here are your standard 30 amp fuse for the main shore power, 20 amp fuse. This is undoubtedly going to the air conditioner. Yep. And then you've got your receipts, your receptacles, and then you've got your converter. So the converter is basically the converter's ability to change it over to DC watts. Now, if I was getting really crazy, I could actually wire everything into the Inergy. I could theoretically remove all of this stuff and wire all of these things into the Inergy, and then if I didn't want to use any of these other items, I could not run my inverter. The reason why you might want to do that is because running the inverter is going to drain the power faster than if you don't run the inverter. But that's a lot of work, and this converter's handy. It does all that for you. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna let it run the way it normally would. But I do have to figure out how to get this off the box, so that way I can get to the plug, the 30 amp, and take the wires out, and that way I can wire in the new extension cable. And the reason why you want to wire that rubber coated thicker stuff is because it's going to move around a lot more. That you're going to plug it into the standard shore power, you're going to plug it into the Inergy. It's going to move around, and your standard, I think it's 12.2 or whatever, that in the wall cable, the yellow cable that you see in there, that stuff is not meant to move around. Like, you put it in, you leave it alone. I'm pretty sure that the more you move it around, the more the insulation breaks down. And during install, that's fine. Like, you're not moving it that much. But if you were to continually move it around on a fairly regular basis, it's just not meant for that. It's not set up to do that. So, you know, do the right thing, replace it. You don't want to fire. You're in a very confined space. You know, I guess I could give you a tour of this bad boy. That's it. You know, it's a bed. It's a bed. It's got a nice little max fan. It's got an AC unit with a heat strip that we never use because, you know, it's too much power consumption. It's a very lightweight trailer, very small. I put a futon frame in there. It's got two mattresses for now. Probably get a futon mattress eventually, but it serves our purposes well. We go camping to go outside. I hate putting away wet tents, and this is going to make it so I don't have to put away a wet tent. And it's super comfy, and I can also heat it efficiently. So let's get to going on this, and I'm sure you'll get more tours of this camper as it becomes relevant. So one of the kind of crazy things that my wife and I discovered last time we were in Big Bear is that once the temperature gets cold enough, these foam pads, they get really uncomfortable. They get rock hard, and it's kind of a pain to try and get them warmed up and get comfy on them. Now I'm kind of guessing here on how to get this thing out of here, and there we have it. That was easy. And you know what else is going to be really easy? Let's see if I can grab this up and show you. So those are terminals down here, and what you're looking at is this right here. See how thick that is? That's your shore power. You got your ground, usually green. I'm going to look all this up though. Google everything. Check your math twice, 3 times. And then you got your actual cable going into your 30 amp plug right here. And chances are good if I pop this out of the way right there. I should be able to pull that breaker right out, which will make wiring up the new cable a lot easier. All right, so I'm kind of laying where my feet were. It's pretty uncomfortable, but I wanted to get this for you. So this guy right here, that's your short power. Has to be because it's going into the 30. See that bar way back there? That guy's got to come out of there. And then I can get the shore power out, and then I can wire in the exact same way you see here. I can wire in that new cable. Okay, 3 cables. You got your positive, your neutral, and your ground. That's the copper looking one. They're all copper, but this one's a solid. And I will wire the new cable up exactly the same way, so that way it is identical. And once I take and loosen all these wires up, I'll go back into the other side and I'll loosen up the cable, and I'll just be able to pull it right through, and put the other cable in there. Should be really easy. Is what I tell myself. All right. It worked. So now I get to go in there and disconnect the other one. But before I do that, I'm going to come out. I'm going to get my other cable because I need to have a plan of attack. And then the other thing that I definitely just realized is that opening that will easily let that thin yellow cable out of there is probably not going to be big enough for my... I love this Energy thing, man. Guys, just get the Apex. Don't think about it. Just do it. This thing is so awesome. Anyway, this thing is way bigger. It's got the rubber coating on the outside. It does have my 3 cables. It's got the ground, the neutral, and the black is the positive. You know, so, but it's way bigger. So hopefully, come on, Craftsman. Little tiny screwdriver dude, don't let me down. We're gonna have to fit something in there and get that thing spread out as much as we can to get this cable through there, because that insulation needs to be you know, that clamp needs to be on this insulation. These wires, they can be inside of the controller. They're protected in there. As long as there's no metal showing, you're good to go. Especially on that black cable. That guy, that little third guy, he can't have any metal showing, because that's your third. That's your positive. You don't want to have that arcing and sparking. That'd be a bad day. But for the rest of this, be careful too. Either way, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in the garage. I'm gonna carefully strip a little bit of this plastic down, a little bit of the rubber down, and then I've got a stripper tool for the smaller cables. Does 10 gauge just fine. So we're gonna get that taken care of. Probably an X-Acto knife. You know, so if you don't hear from me again for a while, even though it's the magic of YouTube, it's because I cut myself. Don't do that. You know, wear eye protection, that kind of thing. But either way, then all the rest of this is gonna wait. All the rest of this stuff is just, it's gonna wait until after I get this done, because all that stuff, that's this end. See the difference? This one's going to the trailer, right? This one, it's going to that one. Cool. All right, we're good now. So I cut my extra off, and now it's a lot more manageable. I have it in there. The way this works is this little kit came with two of these little connectors, and then two of these plugs, and you just plug in everything, so that way the cable's going through just the bottom. And then how I'm gonna have that set is it's gonna go right up there like that. So it'll be a lot neater, straight when I get done. But I need to wire in the plug. That's this guy, and it's really nice. It tells you, you know, tells you green. It even puts a little green stamp on it, and white, no white stamp. And then I imagine that the third one is black. They didn't say that, but you know, I've only got 3 more cables, so I've only got 3 cables. So, and then over top of it, not needed at all. Probably could have saved my money, but it'll look neat. It'll look clean. It'll keep things from sticking their fingers or hands or anything up there. And when you can't see it, when you're just maybe feeling around in the dark, you don't want it exposed. You just don't want it exposed. So, you know, I wouldn't say plug in your shore power before you plug in your internal shore power, but I'm not going to be the only one using this trailer. So we keep going. I am planning on to install this. I'm planning on just reusing some of the battery screws, because they're the exact same size screws and type screws that I pulled out of the little holders that hold the cables on. So I know they're not going to go through the the outside of the camper. And why get more screws? There's no point. Okay, we'll get started, and I'll show you the progress as we go. Okay, so it's in there, and you can't see it. There we go. Cool, right? Yeah? All right, now the next thing that I have to do is I need to take my cable, my way too long black cable, and I need to build in the plug. And the plug comes like this, and you literally build it yourself. So that the cable will go in there like that when I get all the parts out. But here's the deal: it's too long right now. It's unwieldy. I'm gonna set the Intech thing in there, but you can see that like I have all this cable, so I'm gonna set the Intech battery in here and like just basically call it like worst case scenario. What if I needed to plug in this, you know, at the very bottom, even though I plan on having it sit up like 6 inches or so. Worst case scenario, how long do I need this thing to be? Not as long as it is. So I'm gonna get that done. I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna strip it, same as I did when we plugged it into the controller, and then I will try to set up the tripod so you can see me fumble around with this thing, because it's probably gonna be funny. And maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll get it right the first time, but I doubt it. If I have to solder anything, it will be a mess, and that will be funny for everyone but me. And the reason the light's in here is because right before or right after I got this done, before I could bother to film the fact that I got it done, my wife came home and said, let's go to the movies. And so we went to the movies because she said, let's go to the movies. So might be doing a little bit of this in the dark, but once I get this plug done, I'm probably gonna, well, I am gonna take care of this. I'm just literally gonna get all of this out of here. I don't need 2 of the 4 cables that are in here, and the other 2 are solar. We'll deal with those later, and then I can just literally put, instead of 3 cables coming out of, I think it's that first little grouping right here. Instead of there being 3, there's only going to be 2. So I actually have a very good solution for when two wires are coming to touch each other. It's called heat shrink, and you get this special kind that has a little bit of solder in the center of it. We're gonna give that a shot. It seems to get good reviews from people who know things, but let's see what I, person who doesn't know anything, thinks of it. So that's where we're at. I will get set up to cut this and strip it, and then get the camera back rolling so you can watch me fumble around with the plug. Ta-da! Got it. So I actually got it on the very next try. That's it, plugged into the shore power up there, as if you were getting a regular shore power from from the post at your campsite. And then alternatively, you can one-handed pull it out. Okay, hold on. There we go. You can one-handed pull it out, and there she is. And now I can plug it into my Inergy generator. And this thing still, the springs don't really like the plug all that much, but they'll get over it. Okay, guys, so I'm back inside the battery compartment. I've traced the wire like, I don't know, a bunch more times to make sure that it is absolutely the wire that I no longer need, because I really do not want to cut this thing unless I am absolutely sure, because if not, I'm gonna have to do it again. But the key to my success are these little guys. Solder seal wire connectors. What these do, you can order them on Amazon. That's where I got mine. What they do is, they get everywhere if you're not careful when you open them. They have these little metal tin centerpieces, and you literally use a heat gun. I don't have a reflectant thing, so I'm going to do this tip where they strongly recommend I have one, but I'm not. I'm just going to rotate the wire. But as you rotate the wire, the heat shrink, which is normal, goes down, but so does the tin. The tin melts and creates a solder for you. So the first thing you do is you twist the wire. I'm getting too close. You twist the wire around each other like that. That is not going to hold at all. If you were to pull, they'd come right apart. You then slide that over the top and start heating it. That's when the glue and the solder, or in the heat strips, is going to start to hold those wires in place a little bit. But then the real goal is to see that right there where the metal melts. And the reason I can do that is because I'm going to be going from 3 wires together to 2 wires. These 2 wires are going to be 1 wire. So I'm going to do that. All right, I'm not going to have the camera on because I'm not. It's boring. But I'll show you what happens. And if I screw it up, I'll show you that too. So either way, you win. All right. Here goes nothing. So that's the end product. As you can see, it melted. It looks better on the video than I think it really is. I'm not super thrilled with it. I probably should have grabbed another heat shrink just to put over top of it, and then quick melt the other heat shrink on top of it. I'll probably do that in the future just to double up on it. It's not terrible. It's soldered in there, that's for sure. It's a good connection, so that's good. But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing with these and try to get better at them. And then, like I said, in the meantime, I'll wrap this one in electrical tape, and I'll try to solder the other. I'll try to use another heat shrink over top of the next one. So I'm going to tuck this all up, get this taped up, and then we can get this tested. All right, it's time. We're going to plug it in and turn it on, and we're going to see what happens. This plug is finicky. There we go. So it's in. We're going to turn it on. I don't see any problems. It's on. Let's go see if I've got power. The radio should be on. Oh, I locked the door. The radio should be on, so we may not have what we need. That doesn't necessarily mean there's two ways that the radio should be on. There's no power. Let me make sure I turn the inverter on, and I didn't just turn the DC on, because you can turn just the DC on. Okay. No, I thought I turned. Well, let's try the other way. Well, there we go. Now it's telling me 28 watts. See if I can get that close enough so you can see it. 24 watts. Let's go see if I've got power in the rest of the trailer, because remember, the inverter's got to be on for this to work. Alright, but it should power everything. Well, no, I still don't see the radio being on. So that's kind of a problem. Nope, I do not have power. Well, the first test, it's not a success. So we're going to have to see what it is I did wrong and try to figure out where to go from here. Alright. So as you guys will recall, I was messing around with breakers. If that's not in the up position, none of this whole trailer gets any power. And that's fine. You want to know why it's okay that happened? Because it gave me the opportunity to plug the cable in, see power go as far as the breaker, and nothing bad happened. So the cable is still plugged in. Let's try it one more time and see if the radio comes on. And 70 watts. Let's see what happens. Let's see. It's always tough to remember. No, okay. I can't remember if it's to the right or to the left that you're supposed to turn the switch on to get the inverter to power on. I think it's the other way though. I think it's to the right. It's heard a beep. Heard a beep up there. So I bet you we got it this time. Yeah, and if you turn it to the right, then the inverter turns on and the fan turns on. That's a good way to know. If the fan's not on, you're not getting any power. Let's take a look. Oh, there she is. There's the glow. Let's test some lights here, folks. Oh yeah, this is all on the battery, all through my cable. Yep. Now, got the lights out here. Everything is working. This is really great. So that is the battery, the inverter, everything is in there. It's plugged in through a normal shore power plug, 30 amp. I've got outlets. I've got everything I need because it's coming in through the shore power right here. It's not hot, cable's not warm or anything like that, although it's not really powering a whole lot. If you look, 33 watts is what it seems to think it's running right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off for now. Alright, so now that the trailer is dead, we're going to unplug this. They're not warm. The prongs are not warm, so that's good. We're going to unplug it, and then you know I struggle to get this back in. So I'm just going to set you down while you're kind of looking at it. Kind of, maybe. I don't know. Good enough. I'm going to plug it back in up here. I'm going to have to get a lot better at this. Probably should not have got the cover, because it seems the cover just gets in my way. Good Lord. Alright, I'm gonna stop the video. It's embarrassing. Okay, sorry. The garage is a mess, but I'm gonna grab my shore power cable, all 250,000 feet of it, and I'm gonna take it out because we are going to plug it in to the shore power. So now battery compartment is empty. Got it plugged in right up there. We can't really see it. Totally understand. We're going to plug in the shore power. So that plugs in up here. Should get my light so I can see what I'm doing. I put it in the now dark trailer. There we go. Sweet. Alright, so we're going to plug in the shore power. And I'm going to try not to get in my own way. But alright. You don't really got to screw this tight when you're just testing, but it doesn't take long. Then we're going to take our other end here and we're going to plug it into our Inergy Apex. Okay, so that's in there like that, right? Turn it on. I heard the beep again. Let's see if we've got power. Oh yeah, there she is. There's the radio. There's the light. Fan is on. 100%. Max fan running. Okay, well, folks, I'm gonna clean this up because I'm done. That's the first episode of Dusty Trail. It seems like we did a lot, but we didn't. We just took out an old lead acid battery and installed an Apex Energy. Really awesome piece of kit. In the next one, I will show you how to get solar panels onto this trailer, and then route it down with minimal wire work to get into the trailer through the ZAMP outlet and into the Apex, so that way when we're on the road we can charge with the solar instead of having to plug into a regular charge port on the trailer when we have shore power. Because if you have shore power, you can just plug the Apex into a regular outlet and charge it through the wall outlet that came with it. But I don't want to do that. I just want to charge it with solar, keep it charged, so as I go between shore power and not having shore power, that generally speaking it's charged all the time. So we'll do that next time. Thanks for joining me. Remember, like and subscribe. I guess everybody says that. I'll try not to say that too often because I don't really care. And check out the podcast if you want to hear more ramblings, because I will definitely talk a lot about why we went with this trailer, what we hope to achieve out of this, and everything else. So, all right, everybody, find your trail.